From Joe Gibbs Racing, Matt Tifft is out of the hospital after brain surgery. Man, how great it is to be able to say that. Matt, welcome to the program and congratulations. How are you feeling?
Thank you. Getting better. I think yesterday was pretty rough, just kind of getting home and dealing with the effects of the anesthesia still kind of in my system. But energy levels are coming back up a little bit. I think every day it gets a little bit better. We did the same thing with the biopsy I had to do a couple weeks ago, but it's obviously a lot more severe of a come down, I guess you could say, from the actual surgery. So, but getting better.
Yeah, Matt, you and I have never personally met, but I chose to grab a hold of your story, and it really inspired me all of weekend from a July 4th weekend and your issues coming out of the hospital, just from a level of appreciation. I mean, they friggin' did brain surgery on you, and you were able to joke before and joke after, and did a great job on Twitter really explaining how you were doing before and how you're doing after. Talk to us about how the procedure went and actually how you became, you didn't start with brain problems 2, 3, 4 weeks ago. It actually started with your back. Talk to us about how that procedure happened.
Yeah, it's funny now looking back on some of the Twitter videos and stuff. I honestly don't know if I fully remember doing that. I guess that's just all the stuff they had to knock me out. But yes, so last year I had a couple hits at the end of the year that just kind of tweaked up my back a little bit, and I just had some spells with it. And so I went in a few weeks ago and was with Dr. Petty, and we're going to get a spine MRI scan done. And I said, you know what, I had a concussion a few years back, just when I was a kid, and I just had never gotten an MRI done on my head, and I thought, since we were going to be in there, I asked if there's any way I could just get that done too, just for peace of mind, just knowing, what it looks like. And that way, if I ever had to get another scan done, if I got in another crash and got a concussion, I would have something to go off of. And sure enough, we found this tumor in there. And actually, they didn't think it was a tumor at first. They thought it was called what's called cellular dysplasia, which is where you have a deformation of cells, and it could be completely normal. You have no idea, if it's been there for a while or not. So they sent it to a brain tumor council, and they looked it all over, and they kind of voted on it, and all the top neurologists around the country voted and, put in their 2 cents of what they thought it was, and it came back kind of like 60-40 in favor of a brain tumor. So they wanted to go ahead and do a brain biopsy while all the back stuff was going on. So we just did some simple treatments for the back stuff. But in the days following the Iowa race that I just set out, we went ahead with the brain biopsy, and we got the results back, and it was pointing towards about 95% towards what's called low-grade glioma, which is a very slow-growing brain tumor. But, obviously that's not something you want to mess with.
Yeah, man, that's just an amazing story. I guess from your perspective, we mentioned earlier that Sam Hornish Jr. climbed into the car and wound up winning in Iowa, and at the time I bet you're probably going, oh, man, I could have been in that seat. But then when all the rest of it happens, it kind of gives you, I would guess anyway, a whole new perspective on things, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. Well, it was definitely hard at first, but I think once we got the results of that biopsy back and everything going on, it's your priorities change quite a bit at that point. Then it's just getting yourself back healthy, and the racing becomes secondary. It's about your own health at that point. So obviously it's a complete change of interest when you're talking about a brain tumor that's in there.
Yeah, and whenever anybody says minor brain surgery, it's kind of a lie, because
there is no such thing.
There is no such thing. But now we're back. Essentially, you're exactly on pace. I believe you're a little ahead of schedule. You came home early, and walking, and obviously talking well and eating. Life is returning to normal. What is your prognosis? How do you think, and how, if you were guessing, when will you be back at the racetrack?
I definitely got out of the hospital quick, which was a good sign. The surgery was Friday, and they started at about 3 o'clock, and I was home by midnight on Saturday night. So it's a pretty quick turnaround for a brain tumor removal surgery. They were actually expecting that I still going to be there till today was their original thought. So obviously got out of there a lot quicker than they thought I would. So I've just been resting up at home here in Charlotte, and I'm not really sure what the timetable is going to be for getting back to the racetrack. I mean, it's going to be just traveling to a racetrack first, obviously, before even getting in a car. Based on the medications I have to take and waiting for my stitches to heal, it's going to be at least 4 weeks before anything really happens, just because of the medications that they have to put you on and make sure there's no risk with seizure activity or hemorrhages or anything like that could happen inside my brain. So it's still very fragile, and I still can't take any hits with it. So I just still have to be very careful day to day with everything I do. And obviously that gets better as time goes on. But for about that 4 week stint, I won't be able to do anything that will actually make me sweat at all, or get basically blood pumping through there, because that can pose real serious danger. But after that point, we'll see where we're at. The main thing I'm pretty anxious to see back now is we get the results of the pathology, and based on the lab results, when they test the tumor sample out, that's going to they do a genetics test on it, and that's going to tell us what kind of tumor it was, if it would have became cancerous, what kind of regression level it had, and all that. And then I'll kind of know if I need to do anything, or if I have to go through chemo and radiation to kill off the rest of it, make sure it doesn't come back. So that's the next step, is finding out what the heck is going to happen with that, basically.
All right, well, make sure if you get to the racetrack, and I know you're not going to be in a car, I have a personal invite to come to the spotter stand. I believe Hirschman or Lambert or Crazy, one of them guys will be spotting for you. We'll have a spot for you up top to be able to watch a really cool race, whether it's a truck, Xfinity, or Cup race. But if you get to the track, come up, and I'd love to meet you and talk to you. It'd be a privilege.
Yeah, for sure. No, I saw your tweets over the weekend. I really appreciate it. It's always cool to see the support from around the industry. I know you were one of the main guys with it, so it's definitely a lot to go through, that's for sure. But it's it's going to be well worth it in the scheme of things, and it's just something you can't put off or fight against, because our original debate was, well, okay, let's see, if because the way they had seen it, they had no idea if this thing had been in there for years or since I was born or what. They thought it had been in there for a while. So, of course, at first you're kind of selfish saying, well, if it's been in there forever, who cares? Like, what's the difference from me racing at Michigan a few weeks ago and racing now? But then, you got to take a step back and say, okay, well, let's not be stupid here, because if you wait until November, you just have no idea what shape that tumor would have been in by then, or what kind of prognosis we'd be looking at. And luckily when we did the surgery, we were at a good state where we could take the tumor out and not have to worry about too much else, and we didn't have to get absolutely everything out. Now I know they got a large chunk, if not all of it. I know they're not allowed to say they got all of it out, because it's just not fair, because they don't know about the fiber networks and all that fun stuff in your brain that I don't even really understand. But that could be a life and death, malignant tumor at that point, had we have waited. So, and obviously luckily was not at that state. So, it was just good to get it out of there, and looking forward to healing up and getting to be able to walk and move around a whole lot more and be more active again in a few days. And probably by next week, I should be feeling almost back to 100%, I would guess. And, make it back to the race shop, and then hopefully in not too long, you'll see me back in a car, which is just kind of crazy thinking about that, going through this whole process. So, but definitely looking back, definitely ready to get back to normal life.
Yeah, man, that is really amazing when you consider everything. And the other thing I wanted to mention, too, is it really seems like Joe Gibbs Racing has been very supportive of you through this whole process, and that's got to be comforting as well.
Yeah, no, for sure they have been. And obviously it's such a touchy situation in a way. It's not your normal, just physical injury or whatever. It's not. But I think that's, I talked about it on the show before, that's the hardest part, is you don't know. I think I talked about it on Sirius XM, is that it's not a tangible thing. You can't point to your leg or your arm and say ow, and then you go to the gym and work on it and try to re-strengthen it. You just can't do anything, because your brain is just Well, it's your brain.
Yeah.
It's not,
Yeah. Doesn't need no explanation.
You can try to be active and try to get blood pumping and stuff, but it's not like your brain is going to be lifting weights or anything like that. So you just have to be patient, which is probably the most frustrating part of it. Is you just have to be patient and not get frustrated with the whole process.
Wow, and I know that's one of the toughest things for any race car driver is patience, but, man, you sure are exhibiting it now. Well, listen, Matt, we won't keep you. We're glad that you're doing well and things are moving in the right direction, and it's just a real cool deal to hear from you, and look forward to seeing you back at the racetrack real soon.